My name is Amy Johnson. I used to live with my husband, Michael, and our 5-year-old daughter. One day, I decided to go to a fancy sushi restaurant with my mom, something we hadn't done in a while. That day, my daughter was having a sleepover at a friend's house. As we were enjoying the luxurious sushi, I overheard a familiar voice from the private room next door. "Nothing beats expensive sushi, right? Michael, you must be happy to eat something delicious for a change." Absolutely. Being forced to eat Amy's terrible cooking all the time, I was really sick of it. "Thanks for treating me to such delicious sushi." Wait, that voice! My mom and I stopped eating and looked at each other. Peeking into the next private room, to my shock, there was my mother-in-law and husband. They were ordering only the expensive items, eating with their elbows on the table. "So it is Michael and Mom." "Yes, and to speak ill of a daughter-in-law behind her back, that's just rude." "They always throw snide remarks at me even when I'm around, so it's nothing new," I responded with a wry smile. Michael is 3 years older than me and works at a major corporation. I, on the other hand, quit my job to become a full-time housewife after getting married. It was the wish of my husband and mother-in-law that I become a housewife. Right after our marriage, my mother-in-law started pressuring me to have children soon. Luckily, I was able to conceive easily and found out I was pregnant within 2 months of trying. My mother-in-law was initially happy about the pregnancy, but her attitude changed drastically when she found out it was a girl. "A girl? What were you thinking?" "I wanted a male heir. But I can't choose the gender, and girls are cute too, right?" "Cute? Girls eventually get married and leave, they're of no benefit to us. Make sure the next one is a boy." My husband was also disappointed that our child was a girl. "Mom wanted a boy so badly, and you gave birth to a girl? Girls just mean more expenses." "That's no way to talk about your own child." "Shut up, you're such a disappointment." Michael changed soon after our marriage. He used to be manly, protective, and always led the way when we were dating. But after marriage, he became a puppet to his mother, joining her in attacking me. This behavior didn't change even after our daughter was born, only getting worse with time. Our marriage deteriorated, and Michael gradually stopped coming home. Our young daughter was worried about us. Thinking I wasn't there, my mother-in-law and husband continued to badmouth me while making eating noises. The sushi was utterly ruined for me. After listening to them for a while, they started discussing something more sinister. "So, how's Kate? Is the baby developing well?" "Everything seems fine. I can't wait to see my son's face." "That's great. Unlike some failures, she got pregnant with a boy on her first try. Maybe it's because she's young." "Could be. There's nothing better than a young woman. I'm looking forward to starting a new life with my young lover and the baby next year. I'm excited about the new house. I wonder how Amy would react when she finds out Michael has a son. She'll probably be so upset. But no matter what she says, I'll choose Kate." Hearing their conversation, tears naturally started to flow from my eyes. Though I had sensed their lack of interest in me, I never imagined they were cheating. Let alone that there was a pregnancy involved. My mind went blank. My mom was gently holding my hand right in front of me. She was glaring sharply at the private room where the two of them were. "Those two, they're unforgivable. They're planning to take over our new home, aren't they? That's incredibly audacious." We had been planning to move when our daughter started elementary school and were in the midst of building our own home. The land for the house was provided by my father, who works in real estate at a family discount. He also managed to get a construction company he knows to build the house at a lower cost. It seemed that my husband and mother-in-law intended to live in that house with his mistress. Lucky us for getting the house cheaply, thanks to her father. Living in a new house with a young lover is just the ultimate happiness, isn't it? Don't forget about me, of course. I know, Mom. I'll give you what would have been Amy's room. It's got great sunlight, you'll definitely like it. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see my grandson. A child with Kate will surely be handsome. That's right. A child of mine and Kate's will definitely have a bright future. In this manner, they continued their cheerful conversation. Hearing their conversation, I couldn't stop my tears and lost my appetite, so we decided to leave the restaurant. It turned out that my mom had recorded their conversation, perhaps as evidence. Afterwards, I didn't return home but went back to my parents' house with my mom. She comforted me gently as I broke down in tears. It must have been tough for you. Mom, I'm sorry. Why are you apologizing, Amy? The ones at fault are Michael and his people who betrayed you, not you. I can't forgive them for making my precious daughter suffer. I'm sorry, Mom. I might not be able to continue with Michael, I said in a low voice. My mom then gently stroked my head with a kind smile. That's good. I was worried about what to do if you wanted to continue your married life with Michael. If things kept going as they are, Michael would likely initiate a divorce in a way that puts you at a disadvantage. Maybe even demand alimony. What? But I didn't cheat. But now that you know you've been betrayed, you can take the initiative. Don't worry, I'm here with you, she said with a smile. My mom has always been a dependable person. She was assertive when I faced harassment at school. I've always admired her since I was young. So, I decided to proceed with the divorce advantageously and hired a detective agency to investigate. My foolish husband, thinking I was completely oblivious, was openly cheating. Additionally, I decided to gather evidence myself and planted a voice recorder in his car. Every Saturday, he would leave the house claiming to hang out with colleagues. I was sure he was meeting his mistress on those days, so I set it up then. It was incredibly easy to gather evidence. Hearing those recordings, I realized how much I was looked down upon. Are you sure your wife isn't getting suspicious about us meeting every week on the same day? Don't worry about it. She believes everything I say. I'm sure I can easily fool her about alimony and child support. I don't want to give those women a single penny. Yeah, that makes sense. We have our future life to think about. The old hag can just drop dead for all I care. You really say some terrible things. But Michael, you always say that too. I should have never married that awful old woman. Why did you marry her in the first place? I saw her photo, and to be honest, she's not even pretty. I must have been out of my mind back then. If I'd met you earlier, I wouldn't have given a woman like that a second glance. I'm so happy. I love you, Michael. I love you more than anything in the world too. After that, they probably got intimate in the car. I could hear the vivid sounds and had to stop the recording abruptly. Listening to this, my sadness disappeared, replaced only by anger. They completely looked down on me, but of course, I had no intention of letting them have their way. I continued to gather evidence with my parents' help. After receiving additional proof from the detective agency, I was ready to confront my husband about a divorce. I told my husband and mother-in-law that I needed to discuss something important and called them. My parents offered to accompany me, but I decided to confront them alone. This was my problem, and I wanted to resolve it myself. When the two of them showed up, they looked annoyed. What's this important talk about? We're not so free to attend to your whims. Yeah, you're interrupting our day off. I had plans for a lunch date with friends. I'm sorry. I just really needed to talk to you. So what is it? Make it quick. I handed my husband the divorce papers with a serious expression. My name was already filled in. For a moment, they were speechless. What's this all about? Why are you bringing up divorce? I can't continue with you anymore. Please divorce me. Upon hearing this, my mother-in-law burst into laughter, followed by my husband. What are you talking about all of a sudden? Divorce me? You know you can't live without me. Exactly. Know your place. I'd understand if Michael wanted a divorce, but it's ridiculous coming from you. It doesn't matter who initiates the divorce, does it? And without Michael, how do you plan to live? You're just a housewife, and he's been supporting you financially. Are you planning to live homeless with your daughter? Homeless mother and daughter, huh? That would be quite a sight. They began to mockingly laugh at me and my daughter. Seeing them like that, I almost lost my composure, but I held back. I declared to my husband, I will be demanding alimony from Michael. And of course, child support as well. What? What are you talking about? I can understand child support, but why should I pay alimony? Don't you understand what alimony means? This is why I can't stand uneducated women. Of course I know what alimony means. I'm not that ignorant. So, how exactly are you planning to get alimony from me? Give me a convincing explanation. Michael, you're having an affair with a woman named Kate, right? And she's pregnant with your child. Mentioning the mistress's name caught my husband and mother-in-law off guard. They clearly didn't expect that I knew about the affair. But they weren't the type to give in just because of that. What? You knew about Kate? You admit to the affair? Yeah, I admit it. But it's your fault you were cheated on. Why is it my fault? Then my mother-in-law started talking. It's because you only gave birth to a girl. You didn't try hard enough for a second child. If you had just gotten pregnant with a healthy boy, Michael wouldn't have left you. It wasn't that I didn't try, I couldn't. After our daughter was born, Michael didn't help with childcare or housework at all. How could I even think about having another child under those circumstances? Especially when it was my first time raising a child. What nonsense is this girl talking about? Childcare and housework are a woman's job. You're wrong to rely on a man like Michael. Maybe your attitude is why he got fed up with you. Hearing my mother-in-law defend her son, who cheated and impregnated another woman, I was more astonished than angry. I couldn't believe I had put up with such unreasonable people for so long. My husband continued to berate me. You gave up being a woman after marriage. You stopped wearing makeup, and after giving birth, you quickly aged. Who would want to have a child with an old hag? It's your fault for losing your feminine charm. True, after childbirth, I stopped focusing much on makeup or hairstyles. But I maintained basic grooming. Many women gain weight after childbirth, but I was careful not to. However, it seemed my husband never noticed these efforts. Caught up with his young mistress, he had no interest in me. Continuing to mock me, I made a request. Can you bring Kate here? I'd like to meet her. What? Why? She knew you were married and still had an affair, right? She also has a responsibility. I want to have a talk with her. Meeting Kate will only hurt you more, you know? Why would that be? Well, Kate is young and has a great figure, unlike you. Plus, she's carrying a boy in her belly, something you couldn't give me. You might just lose it out of jealousy. I don't care about that, just call her, please. As I spoke coldly, my husband seemed displeased that I didn't react the way he expected. He clicked his tongue in annoyance. Then, while glancing at me intermittently, he started calling his mistress. He deliberately put the phone on speaker mode so I could hear their conversation. Hey, what's up? Are you coming over today? I need to apologize to Kate about something. What? What's going on? I'm scared. Turns out my wife found out about us. I want you to come over, is that okay? Meeting your wife? That's scary. It's fine. I love you, Kate, and I'll protect you. If that's the case, I'm relieved. I've wanted to meet her too, so sure. Kate's voice sounded naive. Hearing her talk irritated me. As you heard, she'll be coming over. Don't you dare lay a hand on her. Don't worry, I won't stoop to violence. About 30 minutes later, Kate arrived at our house. She was dressed inappropriately for the situation, in a shoulder-bearing shirt and a miniskirt. She was a 25-year-old temp worker at my husband's company. We invited her in to continue the discussion. Despite my presence, my husband and his mistress began to flirt with each other. Kate is young and attractive, unlike someone else here. Even pregnant, she takes care of her appearance. Hey, don't say that, you'll make your wife angry. Oh, I guess she's not your wife anymore. Sorry for taking your husband. Kate smirked at me, clearly looking down on me. Then my mother-in-law compared us. Kate is young and beautiful, unlike Amy. Plus, she's giving us the boy we always wanted. She's feminine and charming, unlike someone else here. I really like her. I'm so happy to hear that from you. I like you too. They were flaunting their relationship as if to show off to me. But I wasn't affected by their display. I turned to my husband and Kate and resumed the conversation. I'm sure you're aware, but I'll be seeking alimony from both of you. Alimony? You're still on about that? Did you think you could just come up with some excuse to avoid paying alimony? Did you think if you manipulated me enough, you wouldn't have to pay? Hey, wife, you're scary. As I pressed them, Kate dramatically clung to my husband, who soothingly stroked her head. It's okay, I'll protect you, Kate. My husband said, uttering such a cheesy line that it made my skin crawl. How did I ever fall in love with and choose to marry such a man? Now, I couldn't understand why I married him in the first place. You do understand that if a married person commits adultery, they are obliged to pay alimony, right? Kate knew you were married and still got involved with you, correct? I have the right to demand alimony from both of you. Sure, we're together, but do you have any physical evidence? You think I don't have anything? I have all the evidence I need. I laid out the investigation report from the detective agency and photos of their affair on the table. I also played the recordings from the car and the conversation my mother had recorded at the sushi restaurant. My husband and mother-in-law were speechless, their eyes wide. How about that? I can do this much. You were at the sushi restaurant? Yes, I was at the next table. I heard familiar voices and was surprised to see you and your mother there, talking so loudly in the restaurant. Seriously? No way. My husband seemed visibly shaken by this revelation. My mother-in-law, too, was speechless, probably trying to think of a way to escape paying alimony. Then Kate spoke up, seemingly oblivious to the seriousness of the situation. Even if we have to pay alimony, we have the new house, so it's no big deal. If we run out of money, we can just sell the house. It's quite a mansion, after all, it should sell for a good price. Her smug attitude was more irritating than infuriating. I decided to enlighten her about a certain truth. You seem to be making plans for that house, but I won't let you have it, I said. What are you talking about? My husband retorted. I'm the one who paid for that house, didn't I? You didn't pay anything and now you want to take over? Have you forgotten under whose name that house was built? Ah! My husband uttered, his face turning pale as he remembered the truth about the house's ownership. However, Kate, not grasping the situation, still thought she had the upper hand. I know you were looking forward to the new house, but please give up. It's going to be my home now. There's no place for you there. If you really want to live with us, maybe you can stay in a doghouse or something. Kate was laughing, but my husband was clearly panicking. What's gotten you so pale all of a sudden? Well, actually, that house was built under Amy's father's name. What does that mean? It means it won't belong to us. What? So we get nothing? Right, you both will only have the alimony to pay. And Michael, you will also pay child support for our daughter. As I informed them of this, my husband suddenly stood up, begging. Please! I intend to pay the alimony, but can we keep it around $20,000 for both of us? Don't decide that on your own. I'm going to let professionals determine the amount of alimony. I'll claim as much as I can squeeze out of you too. Please have mercy! I don't have the means to pay alimony right now, especially with a child on the way. It seems that my ex-husband had been spending a considerable amount on his mistress. He was never the type to save money, and with his show-off nature, he always wore only expensive items. He probably lavished his mistress with high-end brand gifts and extravagant dates. Indeed, working at a major corporation, he earned a higher salary compared to others his age. However, his expenses far exceeded his income, making it pointless. It appeared that he didn't even have savings of about $20,000 left. Realizing this, the mistress stood up, shocked and furious. "Wait a minute. If you have no money, there's no point in marrying you. You've wasted my time." "What are you talking about?" "That's my line. I chose you as a marriage partner because you seemed well off. If you don't have money, there's no point. And if we can't have the mansion, there's no reason to marry. I'm calling off the engagement." "Are you serious?" I had anticipated this turn of events, having learned a particular fact about her from the detective's investigation. Deciding to reveal the truth to my husband, who was sitting alone, shocked and distraught, I began to explain the reality of his mistress's actions. "You know, Kate's been involved with 3 other men besides you, Michael. She chose you because you seemed the most financially stable, right?" When I confronted her, she sighed heavily, no longer bothering to hide her true intentions. "Yes, that's right. I chose you because you seemed like the best target. I intended to keep seeing other men even after marrying you." "Are you kidding me? I thought you loved me." "I did like your lavish lifestyle. But let's face it, you're a 38-year-old man, and you have a strong old man smell. You're not exactly the handsome older man type. I never saw you as a man in that way. But when I showed a bit of interest, you fell for it so easily, I figured I might as well take advantage of you." What is that supposed to mean?" Hearing her true nature, my husband looked utterly betrayed, tears streaming down his face. Then, my mother-in-law spoke up. "But the child in your belly is Michael's, right? You'll give us the son, won't you?" "Honestly, I'm not sure if the child is Michael's. My intuition tells me it's more likely to be Kyle's child. But, of course, we won't know for sure until we check." "Is that true?" "Well, I have nothing more to say, so I'll be leaving now." With that, the mistress abruptly ended the conversation and left the house. My husband remained, crying with his head in his hands. After he stopped crying, with red eyes, he turned to me and appealed. "I was deceived by her. Can we just forget about the divorce? I promise I won't betray you again." "Now you say this? You never cared about me or even looked at our daughter. What are you talking about?" "I'll take care of both of you from now on." "You're just scared of being alone." "Sorry, but I have no intention of remarrying you. After hearing your conversation at the sushi restaurant, I was completely disillusioned with both of you. I had my doubts about you two for a long time." As I firmly rejected him, he started crying again. His emotions seemed out of control after being discarded by his mistress. Then my mother-in-law interjected. "He's willing to try again, just go along with it. You're better off with Michael's income, aren't you? If you divorce now, remarrying will be difficult. Just drop this divorce nonsense." "You both betrayed me first. I'm fed up with a cheating husband and a malicious mother-in-law. I'm tired of dealing with you two directly. Let's handle the rest through lawyers. I'm going back to my parents' house." Just wait a minute, my mother-in-law called out. But I shook off her hand and left the house. "Wait, I want to live with you and our daughter," my husband pleaded, grabbing my leg, his face tear-streaked and distraught. I couldn't bear to look at his pitiful state. "Goodbye. Enjoy your time with your mother," I said and left the house I had lived in for so long. With the help of a lawyer, the divorce was finalized. I claimed a lump sum in alimony from my husband and his mistress. Of course, I also demanded child support from my husband for our daughter. This was arranged to be a fixed amount paid monthly. The mistress, having no money, had her parents pay the alimony. She was scolded severely by them and left her job to return home. After giving birth, she lived under her parents' watchful eyes. Though she was as she was, her parents seemed decent. Knowing the child wasn't suffering brought me relief. My ex-husband continued to work, unable to quit due to his debts from the alimony payments. My ex-husband couldn't quit his job easily due to the debts incurred from the alimony payments. His affair with the temp worker, naturally, became known at work, leading to him being regarded coldly by his colleagues. He started making frequent mistakes at work, and as a result, his salary was nearly reduced by about $1,800. Moreover, for some reason, he blamed my mother-in-law for our divorce and severed ties with her. Since my mother-in-law had been receiving about $1,800 in support from my ex-husband each month, she faced financial difficulties once this support stopped. She had to start working part-time as her pension wasn't enough. As for me, I moved into the newly completed house with my parents. My daughter was overjoyed to live with her beloved grandparents. While raising my daughter, I began helping with my father's business. Now, I am living a stress-free and happy life. In the future, I hope to continue enjoying peaceful and bright days with my loving parents and daughter.